Welcome, everyone. Tico Casamayor here at the Strive 305 podcast, along with my co-host, Irvans, Agustin.
That's me.
From Urban Impact Lab. I'm going to do a little surprise for everybody here because right now you're just seeing a one-camera shot with this young lady here next to me. But when we go to the wide camera shot, you're going to see a record for us. Give me the wide camera there, Anthony. So there you go. We got 3 guests, 2 hosts, 5 on the table. That's a first for us, but we're very excited about it. Irvans, yes?
Yes, we are.
You are? I'm very stressed. But okay, let me get my intros and my thank yous in. Thank you to our Mayor, Levine Cava, for the Strive 305 initiative and for having us here. Thank you to our district commissioner. I hope you all know your district commissioners because I'm going to call you to see which one, and we're going to name each one. Thank you to Community News Studios, to Grant Miller, and the guy that does all the work at Community News, Michael Miller. And we have a special we have a sponsor today, a beautiful special sponsor. And she never comes prepared to be on camera, but I'm going to make her come really quick just so everybody can see her. Come, because that way I can get another new record. Come over here. Now you got 4 girls and 2. Yeah. So this is Candles by M&M. If you see all these beautiful candles here, that's Veronica Ventura. She does all her candles herself. Veronica, tell me really quick, how do you make your candle? Tell them what it's made out of and all the cool stuff.
It's organic soy. And our fragrances are chemical free. All of these are handcrafted, made by my daughter, my son, myself. And we have a little studio in West Kendall where you can come actually and make your own candles.
Oh, awesome.
And if you find me on Instagram, Candles by M&M, literally the M, N, and the M, because I couldn't do
Yeah.
And if you just let me know, book your appointment, and you can have your own party.
Oh, I love that.
Studio in West Kendall. So it's really
It's
nice.
great for the holidays now, even for Halloween, it's great.
Yeah.
By the way, Halloween, hence the Salem. I'm going to be a warlock, I believe, on Friday for
Okay.
Halloween, just in case anybody wants to send pictures to all of them.
So,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm going to be a sexy warlock, though.
That's the only way to go.
All right, let me give you, you're all reading who our guests are, but I'll read them out for you. We got Monique Hayes, partner at DGIM Law, right? Partner, but you're actually the owner, right?
Well, I'm a partner, a law partner.
You're the boss. Okay, we have Jennifer Gerson, Director, Community Engagement, Dade County Federal Credit Union. I wrote it down so I would say it right and you won't get mad at me. Thank you. And we have Brittany Morgan, Senior Director of Economic Resilience at the Miami Foundation. Wow, cool. You see? The intellects. This is why I will speak very little during this podcast. You're welcome, everybody.
actually, I have a little bit of a correction today.
Oh, crap.
We are all Tico.
We're all Tico.
We are all Tico Casamayor today. Hi, my name is Tico Casamayor.
What are you doing? We're gonna talk about.
We are all Tico.
Okay.
I just wanted to give you a shout out and say thank you for coming to help out on your birthday. So you're the host with the most. So today, we are all Tico Casamayor.
Happy birthday, Tico.
I'm speechless, happy.
I think that's a first for a
My
second.
head is running. Didn't realize how big my head was, but wow, I love this.
This is home just to stress you out more, just to have more of your face around the house.
Oh my God, no! Can you guys just use them throughout the whole show?
Frame it.
Hello, I'm hello. Look at this. You've made me stutter.
For the candle lady, you're welcome.
Is there
In the studio.
an Nirvana's Miami Minute or no?
No, we don't need it.
Okay, no. That was
I think we got a full show to talk about right now, so I was just gonna. This was my minute, so we will take it on that. And we'll jump into
see
the
why
conversation.
I love this guy. This is why I love this guy. God, I try to hate him, but I can't. I always love him. After Friday, I wanted to kill him, and now I let him again. Okay, this is a very, very, very important show. Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
yeah. I don't want to make you stand back there. Very, very important show. We're going to learn a lot of things, but stuff. Well, I'm going to let you girls do the talking. I promise I wouldn't talk a lot. But you're going to learn about merchant cash advances. We're going to learn about how to spot the red flags on contracts. Yes, huge for my listeners because our listeners, so you understand, Strive 305 is an initiative to help the small business community, right? So what do? We bring either small businesses to help promote them, grow them, and let them teach others their story, or we'll bring resources like what you all are today, resources to help them learn from you and for you to teach us what not to do, what we can do, how do we better what we're doing now, right? Because it's a never-ending learning process, as I know. I'm really not that old looking. It's just business destroys you. So that's what you guys are here for. And then we have our website, which is a hub for all of this. All of you probably are already on the website, as resources, so you could all find them through there.
You should totally sign up if you haven't signed up yet.
It's
Yeah.
a what? Strive 305.
Strive305hub.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have CDFI. I don't even know what that is, but you're going to tell me in key terms. Let them go. Go. Irvans, go. Do your thing. Get them rocking and rolling because we don't have a lot of time. I want to hear and I need to learn all of this.
No, I mean, today we're just here to listen to you, and actually, Tico and I will bring the small business voices. And I guess to kick us off, merchant cash advances. What does that mean?
I'm really happy to have Jennifer and Monique here because Monique is really one of the people who sounded the alarm to try to get the news out there. You know, while Miami Open for Business was open, we saw this a lot. And so now we're here with the antidote. And so we'll talk a little bit about it, but we also have follow-up resources on the website, like a checklist. And so let's actually talk about that because people don't know what an MCA is, right? It's not going to show up at your door looking like, hey, I'm a merchant cash advance. So what is it going to look like when small business owners are attracted to that type of financing?
So what it is a finance resource. A finance resource. A lot of times when people receive the funding, they naturally believe that it's a loan, but it's not a loan. It's a type of financing where the funds come into the organization, into the business, and the repayment terms, rather than getting an interest rate and paying back the loan over time, what you're getting is a commitment. You're actually, through a merchant cash advance, selling your revenue stream for the future in exchange for the funds that you're getting today.
It's like the flyers I get in the mail saying, these easy money fast, or like I get a dozen text messages a day. I was saying like 70,000. I qualify for $70,000 for something I didn't even apply for. Like those types of things. Is that what you're referring to?
One of the markers of this type of financing, not only merchant cash advances, but revenue-based financing, is that it has a fast approval process, and it's very important. And an important consideration for the business community. A lot of times that you do need fast approval and rapid funding. And so that's one of the resources and one of the draws to it. What we want to do is make sure that you're aware of the consequences and risk when you're taking on this particular type of financing. So like I said, it's not a traditional loan in the sense that you have paying back interest over time. And because in a loan context, you have limits on the amount of interest that are by state law, how much interest can be charged. A financing structure where you're actually selling your receivables or financing based on your receivables, there isn't an interest rate. You're giving back a percentage of receivables. And another important consideration when you're taking on a revenue-based financing structure like an MCA is understanding how the repayment is going to, in a practical sense, happen. Sometimes those lenders or finance partners, they have access to your accounts and they're able to, on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, sweep the accounts in order to get back their percentage.
Oh, so you don't even send the payment, they connect directly to your bank account and just automatically withdraw it.
Yeah. So
that's a very surprising part a lot of times.
I think a good rule of thumb that if it's fast and easy, it's expensive, right? And I think that, they present it to you, through text message or when you're logging in, and you're not thinking of that as a contract that you would want your attorney to review, right? You just think this is, I just sign and drive, right? So again, fast and easy equals very expensive. I think that's a good rule of thumb to live by.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Context on the merchant cash advance bit. You're right that there's a lot of quick, easy lenders need cash now. But one of the reasons it's called a merchant cash advance is because it's a merchant processing company that will usually, that's how they have access to auto debit your account. So think, for example, if you're an entrepreneur and you've signed up with ToastTab, you've signed up with Square, you're using Shopify, PayPal, a merchant cash advance means that your merchant transactor on your behalf has permission to auto debit your account in those previously agreed upon installments. That's very different than a loan, like Monique said, where you have a fixed principal and you have a fixed interest rate. You sign a promissory note to that effect. So while it may take longer to get a loan approval, at least some of those terms are a little bit more transparent, because who knows, you have a really great month next month and they take the same percentage out. You have a bad month and you're seeing less of that money take home. And so just again, MCA, merchant cash advance, means that it's usually going to be a merchant processor or a transactor. That's how they're able to auto debit your money on your behalf.
That's exactly it.
And unfortunately, I don't think you see the depth of how much money they're taking. Because like, as you said, it could be daily, weekly, monthly, and you're just seeing these little bits of money come out time and time again. If you actually sat down and added it up, you would probably be very surprised as to how much you're paying back for what you borrowed.
You said there's no limit on the, well, there are limits on the loans for the amount of interest they can charge. There's not any control or limits on the interest rates for these types of loans?
There are other regulations, but it isn't an interest rate, right? And so what we usually refer to is the cap is our usury law. So if it is an interest rate that exceeds whatever the state limit is for usury it's going to be over 18%, then it would not be legal to charge that extreme amount of interest on a loan. But if it's not a loan, it is a sale.
Right, legally, it's not a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Monique, can you say that again? Legally,
it's not a loan. And so what that means, the only thing, but there are consequences, right? You still have a payback requirement, but it's not a loan. The difference that makes is the parameters and the regulations on what can be charged for the money and how it can be charged, and then how you're able to calculate it. So to Jennifer's point about how rapidly the charges come and how they are accessed, the percentage of sales, if you did a calculation and a comparison, if it were, for instance, interest. So if interest, the max interest could be 18-20%. When you calculate the percentage of sales that you're actually paying on this type of financing, sometimes it could be 40%.
Yeah.
30,
We've seen that, yeah.
30%.
And
right?
it could be weekly or monthly.
Could be weekly or monthly that they're taking out in those increments, right? And those things impede your ability or may impede your ability to make payroll, right?
Never catch up.
Yeah.
You know what that is? It's predatory lending.
Yeah, it's predatory.
It's a disguise for predatory lending, right? Anything, and on a personal note, a cash advance going to an Amscot or these check cashing stores, that is obviously predatory lending. And I think the merchants,
right? We see them,
right. I think the merchants hide behind the fact that they are your partner for your merchant services,
partner,
right? Yes. And so I think that they are able to come with that facade, even though it's still a predatory lending environment.
So this is the lawyer like, I can't say. So, but it could be predatory, right? And one of the ways that I determine if it is predatory is if it's targeted to a certain group that's vulnerable. Sometimes the business community can be in that category, especially in South Florida. We deal a lot on hospitality, service-based businesses that are cyclical. And so there are times we're luckily coming into season, but during the summer months, it is very difficult for our small businesses to sustain themselves. And oftentimes they're turning to these types of financing structure that are just waiting because they almost know once they get you, it's almost impossible for you to exit without an outside source that is willing to refinance. Sometimes it may be the outside source kind of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire with another merchant cash advance or other type of revenue-based financing.
To deal with when you go get a different type of loan.
Unfortunately, it becomes a cycle. But the good thing is that we are in our community, our lending community is very proactive about it and starting to create an awareness and alternatives. And so that's one of the reasons why we for sure wanted Jennifer to be a part of the conversation, because in whatever context, right, there's no free money. There's nothing free under the sun. But it is a matter of transparency and actual affordability that we want to be sure that our businesses can strive.
That's right.
Thank you for that.
Thrive with Strive 305. This is where CDFIs come in, right? A CDFI,
Tico says, please.
Community Development Financial Institution. It's almost as bad as Dade County Federal Credit, right? But Dade County Federal Credit Union is a CDFI. So, and we have the private-public partnership between the county and the credit union where we offer the Rise Loan product, which is, created for small business owners in Miami-Dade County. where you will have a 5-year repayment term with a fixed rate, which is prime minus 1% on the day that you're approved. So you're approved today, your rate will be 6.25%. There's no application fees. There's no early payment penalty fees. But these loans that are structured like this are kind of hard to come by, right? But that's why we're here. You can go to our website, Dade County Federal Credit Union's website, and read up on the program to see if you would qualify to apply. And the even better news is we will refinance those types of loans. So you could pay it off.
So people who are upside down on some of these types of, you'll work with organizations potentially if they fit.
If they fit, yes, if they fit and they qualify. And they're not really upside down because they're all personally guaranteed or guaranteed by the business. There's not really collateral there. But we are happy to look into that to try to get them into a fixed, affordable payment so that their business can continue to strive to thrive, right?
We had that conversation the other day. Is like, there's so many people who don't know that credit unions are CDFIs and are open to the community.
Not all credit unions are CDFIs, yeah.
And that's the thing, not all of them are, but there are many like Dade County Credit, DC, what you said, or that are open to the entire community. But growing up, like my sister is part of a credit union, but she's a teacher and only she could. And so people often think of.
Yeah, there's still that stigma there, right? That I have to be a part of something to bank at a credit union, but credit unions have evolved over time. So in our case, as long as you live, work, worship, or attend school in Miami-Dade or Broward County,
you have to do one above or just one.
Or if you're a family member
of Aiden's Irvans.
So you're good, Tico. You're good.
Yeah, Tico, you make it. You make the cut. So yeah, it's very easy to become a member of a credit union today.
That was one of my first questions for Jennifer, is just understanding what is the eligibility requirements for the credit union. On a consumer basis, that's one of the known benefits of being a part of a credit union is better terms, better rate, more accommodations. Now what we're learning is that even for businesses, you get the same type of relationship with your lender with better terms, more understanding of your business and your process, so that if you have ups and downs, or if you come in with a situation with a prior financing, that they are willing to work with you to overcome those.
Absolutely. And we can touch on that for a second because it did come up recently in our conversation. A lot of folks establish their conventional business checking account at one of the big four. I'm not going to name them by name. But they just assume that means that they're going to have, a small business banker. But what people don't realize is that those large banking institutions are often accountable to larger account holders. They're going to be charging you a monthly fee to transact with them. So Dade County Federal Credit Union, as well as Self-Help Credit Union, which now has a branch here in South Florida, they have business checking accounts. They have business banking accounts. So you're not beholden to bank with the WF, the C, the BOAs of the world.
Like the ones that are always in the lawsuits.
Exactly. And we do love some of our corporate banking partners, especially on the philanthropic side. But what we said on Friday is if your money's not working for you, if you're being charged a monthly rate, if you're being charged overdraft fees, try to look at what your other options are. And then, Jennifer, is it a requirement to be a DCFCU, a Dade County Federal Credit Union account holder to get the RISE loan?
It is, but we'll make you a member when it's time to close for your loan, because your loan will be funded into your credit union account. Obviously, you can withdraw it and use it as you need. But also, if you have a DCFCU business checking account along with the RISE loan, you'll get an additional discount on your interest rate.
Woo! Did I get that right? That's amazing. Yes, that's such an incentive. And then also, we're going to side note on the community banking conversation for a bit. When you have funds that are invested in a credit union like DCFCU, they're reinvested in the community as well. So, for example, those proceeds, are going into auto loans, first-time homebuyer loans. Whereas if you're banking with a conventional banking institution, you don't really know what they're doing with their fractional reserve. Exactly. You have a Fortune 500 company. So just one time for community banking, all in all, whether you're getting loans or not, there's a good reason to establish a local account.
When we first started the conversation, you guys mentioned that there were red flags. And I was just curious, what were you seeing in the community that brought this to your attention? This is a problem that
is the lack of awareness is the major issue.
People coming to you just kind of...
Right, and not understanding the financing and what they actually signed. When they find out that, no, you're not in a loan, you're in a financing arrangement, and that you have already committed your future sales, your future revenues to this finance company. That is that is surprising. Another thing that is surprising is the depth of access that they have to your bank accounts and your ability to kind of undo this particular transaction. So that was one of the greatest red flags, is not understanding the loan terms. I said long term. So that's it. This is a real time example of that awareness, the financing terms, because sometimes the financing is not a loan and you want to know. So that needs to be a direct conversation with the partner that you have. Is this a loan? Is this something else? How much if I take out X amount, $100,000, $50,000, $10,000 at the end of the term, how much will I have paid you? It's okay to be direct.
Do they have to divulge that and say that?
Yes, they have, and they have to tell you the truth, right? But a lot of times you're just looking at percentages, or you're saying percentage, and it doesn't sound that. The number doesn't sound that significant, but when you add it up over time, right? So you can ask those questions. One thing that you mentioned before, I wanted to come back to, was about the personal guarantees. With most financing, whether it's a loan or not, in the small business world, even outside of financing, if you're dealing with a lease, that will be something that comes up as a part of the negotiation. And depending on what your overall resources are for the business and the business history, you may or may not be asked to provide a personal guarantee. But everything is negotiable. So you don't want to commit to a personal guarantee for a business when you don't believe that you would be able to sustain that individually. So even if you have to do it, which may be necessary, sometimes you do have to commit to the personal guarantee, but you want to look at that guarantee and make sure that it's not blanket and forever. Maybe it is tailored specifically to the type of transaction, right? If it's a lesser loan amount, then you don't need to have a personal guarantee that's going to tie you down to your firstborn, right? You can have it for a shorter term or for a lesser amount, not the full debt. So I say all this to say, just be aware, one, if you have a personal guarantee, what the consequences of that is. And what that means is that if the loan fails, if the business fails, or for whatever reason is unable to repay, then the other financing partner, the lender, has a right to pursue the party to the personal guarantee. Yeah. Even if you got a workout.
That's how people come to you and you're like, well, you're stuck, and they're allowed to continue, and that's why people are coming to you in those situations.
Sometimes, so if, for instance, because I only do business, so I represent businesses, so I may get a workout through a bankruptcy, through an out-of-court settlement, terms where we are renegotiating what the business has to pay. Mm-hmm. That does not mean that. It could mean, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the obligations of whoever made the personal guarantee are also paused or renegotiated.
Right.
So sometimes they will still continue to pursue the individual.
Yeah, and let's speak on that for a second, because there are some loans, for example, all SBA loans, Small Business Administration loans, which don't come from the SBA. They come from a banking or lending intermediary. SBA loans are very attractive because you'll get a lower interest rate. The SBA provides a guarantee to that first lender, but all SBA loans do need to be personally guaranteed. It's just a, fact and feature of, federally backed financing. So just want to share. But I love what you unpacked for us, Monique, about what constitutes a personal guarantee, and the idea of a lot of business owners, like, you are your business at the end of the day. So if somebody is extending you financing and you fall back on that financing, it does give that lender the right to come after your personal vehicle, your personal parts of your personal residence, especially if you don't, have it properly homesteaded. So, like, there are personal assets that are in your name, not tied to the business, that if you have a personal guarantee, the lender is legally allowed to go after. So we unpack that for the public, like what that means and what's at stake, really.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, we are in Florida, and there are people that come from all over the world.
I've never heard that. Fortunately, we're in Florida.
From a business perspective, I know there are a lot of reasons and times that we want to have a gripe with our local traffic, with our regulations, with our state government, but there are some things that we have in our Florida Constitution, as well as just the rights that we have that are our exemptions. The major one is our homestead, but we also have certain types of assets and classes that are 100% fully protected from creditors. And so when you are, as a business person, looking into financing the business, you absolutely want to consult with a lawyer before you do the financing so that you can have a process where you're safeguarding, having a backstop for your family, right? You cannot sacrifice yourself for your family. And there is a lot of assets that you have, like life insurance, your retirement accounts, your homestead, the things that you can have protected while you go out on your entrepreneurial venture. But you want to know where the parameters are before you commit to credit. And you also want to be strategic if you're a family member. You absolutely, like, you don't want to have, if you're a spouse, if you have a spouse, you don't want to have both spouses committed to a personal guarantee if you don't have to. There may be times when you have to, but you want to be strategic. And that's where it comes to working with a financial advisor, having an accountant, working with your lawyer, and working with your banking partner so that you can design a process that'll keep you as protected financially as possible.
Awesome. I know we want to learn a little bit more, Jennifer, about how to go for the Rise Loan Fund, like before you sign on the dotted line, but I want to raise awareness about our checklist resource. We're throwing a lot of questions out to entrepreneurs today that they need to think about before they take on financing or really any contract at the end of the day. So just as a plug, we're going to post an advisory checklist of questions to ask yourself and any future lender before you get into bed with a financial institution. So that'll be a resource on our website. And so let's say that somebody is thinking about considering a loan or a financing arrangement, but they know that the Rise Loan Fund exists. Before they sign on the dotted line, how can they come to you and ask for that type of financing for their business? So they haven't had a predatory loan yet. And then we'll talk about if they do sign, what is their recourse or available to them. So, one of the things that I think gets people into this quandary is speed and processing speed. They're attracted by the idea of getting money tomorrow. And so can you walk us through a little bit the Rise Loan Fund application process?
Yes. So to start the application process, there's a quick qualification form on our website, which you fill out. It goes over the same parameters we discussed before. And then once we get that, we pre-qualify you. We'll send you the application along with the first few documents that we need to collect. And it's not overnight. It's not next week. It's at least a 30-day process to close on your Rise loan. Some are a little bit quicker. Some are a little bit longer. Small business owners are busy running their businesses, so they don't always get you the documents that you need in a timely fashion, but we're there waiting for you when you guys are ready. So again, 30 business days to close on a loan approximately. And the great thing about the Rise loan is you'll get a dedicated lending specialist that will hold your hand through the process.
That's great.
If you don't understand how to provide us with a profit and loss, we'll give you a template in Word or Excel, because some people are better in one or the other. So we truly are your partner and will truly hold your hand and help you through the entire process.
That's excellent. And then those financial documents that you do require, they're things that pretty much all business owners should have: a balance sheet, a P&L as a profit and loss statement, copies, tax returns.
Tax returns, 2 years, personal and business tax returns.
Awesome. So I understand that 30-day period can sound kind of daunting if, again, you 1-800 need cash now, but the idea is to predict what your needs are before you sign on the dotted line. And so let's say Monique and Jennifer, somebody has already gotten themselves into this type of arrangement. We said that Rise Loan Fund can help refinance. Are there any other tips or tricks if somebody finds themselves in this arrangement now?
It is definitely monitoring their cash flow so that they could be able to pay to meet the current terms. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because you don't want to go into default and lose control over your cash accounts, right? So it is looking at where you can cut resources in order to make sure that you stay out of default, looking at if there are any opportunities to restructure or work out, change, modify the terms. Sometimes you can get a forbearance even on a revenue-based lending scenario.
That's really good.
Where that you'll say, this is the slow season, and so my first priority during the summer months, for example. Now, ideally, you would negotiate that on the front end based on your knowledge of how your business runs. So, in the summer months or the winter months, one is better than the other, you can factor that into your repayment term. But if it's after you get to a point of distress, the first thing is not putting your head in the sand. It's actually being proactive and saying, and being forthcoming, saying, this is the situation that I'm facing. If we work it out or if we restructure it this way, I'll be able to, meet the terms and get to a point where I could possibly qualify, or the time passes where I could either satisfy that debt or come back and qualify for a loan or financing that will take out that debt. And then if that is not an option, then we're looking at meaning if you can't come to the table and get terms that are renegotiated, whether there is a legal proceedings and rights, including through bankruptcy or another proceeding where you can get additional time or modify the terms of that financing. So generally in contracts, like once you sign, you're in it, right? Whether it's a lease, whether it's a financing arrangement or what have you, you have those obligations and you can't override them. One of the things that we may be able to do in a bankruptcy, a reorganizing, not like a Chapter 7. When people think of bankruptcy like closing, not that type of bankruptcy, but in the type of bankruptcy where you're continuing the business. So there's specific small business bankruptcy proceedings. You're able to negotiate with your creditors in that process to restructure your repayment obligations. And then some of the rights, for instance, in a revenue-based transaction, you are committing to paying your future revenues in order to satisfy financing that you got a month ago, a year ago, what have you. Once a bankruptcy is filed, all of your creditors have rights and you can no longer give away your future revenue. So if it hasn't already been, even if it was committed, it no longer belongs to you, so to speak, or your business. It belongs to what we refer to as your bankruptcy estate. And so in that scenario, you do have more access to be able to negotiate your future revenues versus prior or outside of the bankruptcy. Even in that type of commitment, once you have committed those future revenues, there's no way of changing your mind. So that is one recourse. It's not the only recourse and it's not the only solution, but sometimes when you're at a last resort or even before you get to a last resort, you want to consider that option if it's better than staying into this financing structure that will never allow you to thrive as a business.
Right on. Right on.
Okay, we went out of time a long time ago, but I'm not going to let my people go before I'm going to summarize everything I heard. In my eyes, because these young ladies here are intellect, smart. To them, this is all second nature. A lot of the things I heard went over my head. So I'll summarize for those that understood it, good for them. For those that didn't, I'll try to help, and then you correct anything I get wrong here. Number one, personal guarantees. Those are a must in some cases. When you open up a company and it's a brand new company, it's almost like you have no choice. But there are ways to manipulate that personal guarantee. It doesn't have to be, like you said, your firstborn. You can negotiate different ways of getting I didn't know that.
Make sure your primary home is homesteaded.
That's another hot topic I had. Yeah, the homestead. Now, a homestead, I also heard there's different ways. Because I signed the lease once. I'm not going to say who did this to me because they're friends of mine now. And I signed the lease once to open up a restaurant. And when I went to sign it, I told them, no, I'm not waiving my homestead. No. And they go, if you don't want to, it's okay. We have somebody else. And I had to waive my homestead.
Yeah.
And I lived for the 3 years that I owned the restaurant. Thank God it did great. And I got bought up. But I was living in fear the whole time with my back of the year because they could have taken my house. Yeah. So homestead is critical. You got to fight it as much as you can.
That's one of the greatest protections. I was talking about how great it is to live in Florida. Like I said, there are plenty of gripes, but that's not one of them. We have 100% homestead protection here.
Unless you waive it, like I did.
Right, unless you
change your home address to be in a different political boundary, and then you're paying yourself.
Well, let me.
Do it quick, because I'm out of time. We're here all the time. You're the attorney. You're going to get me in trouble with Grant Miller.
We're going to stick on time. Just make sure that you protect your homestead. exemptions. We're going to put the details in the resources. So go on the website for the details. But people come from all over to be able to get what we have here. So you have your homestead protection.
Okay, loan versus finance. This is something, when you said it, took me a while before I captured what you were saying.
Right.
So you can think you're signing a loan, but you're really not. You're doing like a financing, and that's where they can take advantage of you.
Exactly.
So if you find yourself in that situation, look it up, because I didn't know. But look it up and then call you. Monique will take care of
The
this.
person is giving the loan to determine what type of situation are you? Are you in a loan or are you?
Yeah, but I still wouldn't understand. So what do you do? I'd go to the Stripe 305 hub and ask for my free legal advice, which they give you.
Yes.
Or I go to Monique and tell her, is this right?
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense.
And I think it is
your life over not getting something checked by an attorney before.
Every time you sign anything, it's a contract agreement, it's a lease agreement, it's a bid, it's a procurement effort. Anytime you're opening up something that requires you to sign on the dotted line, you should have an attorney review it, whether it's Monique or Legal Services of Greater Miami.
So on the website, the same thing on our resources, we have a checklist. And one of the, we'll go through the basics just so you can understand what it is. That will tell you what questions to ask. Yeah. So definitely check out that checklist. And then finally, it will tell you the types of advisors that you want: a lawyer, accountant, financial advisor. Mm-hmm. So the first place is the checklist.
The checklist. Okay. And then, like I said, lawyer, CPA, we have free resources on Stripe 305, but if not, you're looking at them right here. Yeah. They can help you. Corporation. I know a lot of times people don't even open up a corporation when they have their own business. They just run it out of home. Opening up a corporation is obviously number one, right?
Some type of entity. It doesn't necessarily have to be a corporation, but what you want to do is minimize as much as possible your personal exposure. So that's one way of doing it, is doing business through some type of entity, a LLC, a corporation, what have you. Now, there's a caveat. Not only opening it up, is actually following the protocols of the business. So you can't, create a business, but then everything goes into your personal bank account.
Right.
Yeah, do it the right.
Use it as your.
You should have a workshop on LLC, S Corp, C Corp, because there's also tax implications. There's personal life. I'm hearing there's another webinar coming on that.
Just talk about the structuring the business and how to stay out of trouble.
Too. You can start off as an S Corp. You could go to an LLC. Okay, next webinar incoming. Okay.
Come back to that.
Yeah.
But something. Do not leave it. Do not leave your hands down. That's what.
Look who's all looking at us over there, Grandma. Okay, So I'll just go with the last thing. You keep saying checklist. You keep saying checklist. Website. Yes. What the heck's the website? What's the address? Where do I go find this thing? I haven't heard of it.
Strive305hub.com.
I know, but that's on there. And where does that lead you to?
Well,
you guys have one, don't you? Where's your checklist at?
It'll be uploaded on the hub.
Sorry, just to clarify, we're putting it on the hub website so people don't have to look all a million different places. Also, we're going to commit to making sure that we're individually on the hub website also, so we can be connected there. So we'll have Dade County Federal Credit Union is already there. I'll get there with my firm, DGIM Law, also for like estate planning, trust and wills and that sort of stuff. I'll get on the hub too. So all you have to remember is get onto the hub and you'll find every resource, including the checklist.
We also created, I forgot that we created the matrix that has a lot of this information on it. So I'll circle back with Grant and friends to put that PDF on there so people could download it directly off YouTube if they wanted to, and also direct people to the Strive 305 hub. All
right, I'm ending this thing, but just so you understand, I've been in business. Our company, our family business, since 1946. 1971 in Hialeah, all this time, and right now I'm leaving.
How old are you? Since 1946, dude?
Oh, yeah.
The business.
But I'm leaving.
He came back from war, actually.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving this podcast extremely stressed. I went through a roller coaster of emotions and stress emotions because of everything I was hearing from you. So I'm horrified. Luckily, I come from old school, which my father believes in: do not borrow unless you can pay it back. He pay for it cash, never borrow, which bankers hate. But and then my taxes, everybody tells me, no, don't use your money, blah, blah. But I'm lucky. But 99% of the people don't. And the advice that you get from everybody is no, keep your money in the bank and finance everything. Obviously, bankers, everybody want that. So I understand that 99% of the people out there are stressing out right now because of everything we heard here, and who knows what we got. I don't know how many friends I have that have everything that you mentioned,
Auto debiting.
all that stuff that they're doing, and they did, and they're that's how they function. That's how they have their cash.
Yeah.
It's strategy, right? So cash flow is incredibly important to any business owner. So it's strategy. You shouldn't be all in one category or another, right? So you shouldn't be an all cash operation. You also shouldn't be an all finance. You want to be able to look at it, reassess what actually is working. Because sometimes you can save more, make more if you have money in the market that you're investing, and you can use the finance. You can get your wonderful financing from Dade County Federal Credit Union on terms, right? So you're getting what you're paying in financing is much less than what you're making in the market. Yeah, you can do that, but you don't want to over leverage yourself. So
And also
let's
lawyers can
be
be your friend.
strategic.
I think a lot of times even
I know we get a bad rap sometimes, but
you don't.
The other takeaway from this conversation, I think, is that strategic debt can also be your friend, right? I mean, how many of us fully bought our home outright? How many of us fully bought our car outright? No, we had to finance it a little bit. But you're right. Some people are so insistent on self-funding, but that means that they're never going to take the next step to scale. If you don't have enough self-funding cash flow to scale, every single one of your favorite companies that you ever know has taken on a debt arrangement in order to become these big brands. And so just don't think about it with something with fear. You want to take it on strategically. You want to ask the right questions, and then make sure that you're consulting your professional advisors before you sign on that.
Probably when you don't need it is usually the best time.
100%.
Exactly right.
When you wait till you need it is when you get
too late.
yourself in the
And then
situation
you're
that we've been
desperate,
chatting
and
about.
then you end up replying to a text.
All right.
This was great. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Irvans and Tico.
Expecting an application from me. You're going to review it, and then you're going to review it again just in case.
yes, I love it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful guests. This is for, I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, because some listening to it afterwards, but this is Halloween week, and here we go, scary mask time. I know I'm horrified thanks to these girls. Thank you very much for all the information.
Thank you, Tico. Thank you, Tico. Thank you. My name is Tico. I drink Cuban coffee, make decisions badly quickly.
This is all true and inappropriate. Thank you very much. Anthony, get me out of here, please.